everybody. This is Saline County Hardliners back with you again this week. And I'm Keith Kellum. Co host is going to be Kevin Bradshaw. And a few weeks ago, we had a gentleman on with us about taxes, personal property tax, by the name of Aaron Hansen, who's become a good friend of ours. In the meantime, and we're getting into political season, just starting into political season, and people are starting to announce some. Nobody's announced against me yet. Don't do it if you're thinking about it. But anyway, uh, everybody's starting to kind of announce and put their name out there. Well, our local uh, Washington native transplant from the communist state of Washington is here in Arkansas now,
Right.
and has set roots in Bryant and has put his hat in the ring for state representative District 81, which is a predominantly Bryant district, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But Aaron, we got Aaron on today. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back again. I really
Good
appreciate
deal.
it.
Well, Aaron's going to kind of talk to us tonight about his up and coming campaign, which he's gotten started. He's got a web page up that you can look at. He's got a Facebook page, and just starting to kind of get his hat in the ring. And you got to do that when you run against an incumbent, you know. So I'm gonna let Aaron just kind of start off and tell us how'd you. Okay, first off, what made you decide you want to run?
There was a few things, but a lot of it, because I've been talking to RJ for close to 3 years, and there was a lot of what I wanted to hear. He was always good at telling me what I wanted to hear. And I set up an event. He was at it. We chit chatted, and there was a couple little things where even my wife came back to me and was like, "I don't know about him," and I was like, "Well, I don't know. He seems all right, you know." Well, then I started really diving into the voting record and really kind of paying attention to what he was doing. And it seemed like more and more he was stealing freedoms from us, whether it be the right to petition or when it came to helping everybody else out with their tax breaks and not ours. And then one of the final straws was when I made a post and I called him out publicly on Facebook. And I basically said he's either scared or he's lying to me. And so he popped back on there. I'm not scared of anyone. And I said, well, I said what I said, or I said, prove me wrong. Until then, I said what I said. And he basically, it was about personal property tax. And he was lying to me saying I need to go to the county quorum or the quorum courts to do this. And the more I dove into it, the more I realized he either A, doesn't understand the state constitution, or B, he's lying to me, or C, he's just scared. Whatever which one it was still not all right with me. And then it made me think like someone needs to primary him. Well, then I dive into more, like I say, is his voting record. And I see 7 present votes, which means he stripped District 81's voice 7 times just on the bad bills. And there was one according to Conduit News, you know how they put up their good bills, bad bills. So I went through each and every single one of them. And I went through the vote, you know, who voted how. And even on some of the good bills, he still voted present. And I almost feel like it's because they were real estate related and he's got a conflict of interest. Regardless, you stole my voice and every other person in this county or in this district. And then there was another one where he sent 6.8 million tax dollars to go fund a college that still has gender studies programs without a fight. And that's stuff that I'm absolutely against. And I think that was strike 3 for me. You can't strip my voice, lie to me, and then spend my tax dollars frivolously however you want. And then we have the nil bill where athletes don't have to pay state income tax on the dollars that they receive through their name, image, and likeness. Well, if I got to pay state income tax, I sure as hell want them to pay the state income tax, you know?
Right.
And it just became more and more apparent to me that he became everything that I can't stand in a politician as far as feeling like he sold out to establishment or whoever his donors are, or wanted to be in the big boy club. You know, in the Kim Hammer bills, I wanted to put a petition out to get rid of the personal property tax. Well, those Hammer bills essentially wipe away your ability to put forth a petition. Yeah, you can still go through the motions, but the guy that put the bills out, that sponsored them, is the guy that is now running for Secretary of State, or supposed to be. So
right.
he gets final say on the bills that he promoted. So it just, none of it sat well with me. And it just seemed like, okay, it's time to do this. I can't just sit here and, you know, bite my lip and stay quiet on something that I'm pretty passionate about. and there's other things. There's freedoms that need to be clawed back, and we need to stay tough on the Second Amendment and anti-abortion and things like that. But those have kind of been they're under
Yeah,
wraps right now.
everybody kind of feels that way in Arkansas. That's not real. Second Amendment is not in jeopardy in Arkansas.
So and
If
that's just
yeah, if
a lot of it
anybody
right now is the
goes against
taxes.
the second, if anybody in Arkansas, anywhere in this state, goes against the Second Amendment, they're toast.
Yep.
But
So,
I was going to bring up one that disappointed me that he did. I was sitting in and I don't have the bill because I just thought about this. The library bill, the last library bill of it failed in committee, but it was close, and it was in his committee. It was, I guess it was the. I'm not going to say because I don't remember, but anyway, he didn't show, and now it was prolonged late in the day, and all that, and he would have been for it. I think he was for it, but he didn't show up to vote, so it ended up not coming out of committee, and so it didn't happen. And that disappointed me. I don't know what the reason they
I
wouldn't
feel like
show up,
that's
and
the
I'm not going to say,
strategy.
but
There was
but I
what
think he was
told me
for it,
was,
if I know right. But
yeah,
still, if you don't vote, you don't vote. It doesn't matter if you're for it or not.
and you just robbed us of a say.
Yeah, I
You
was
just
real
took your
disappointed in
voice.
that. And there was a
Yeah.
couple other people that didn't show up too. So it was close, but I think if the people that showed up on the committee, the full committee, because it was like 5 o'clock. But hey, I came back for it. I'm not even on the legislature. And if they had all come back, I think it had gone on to the Senate.
And that is disappointing. Like what I said when I spoke on that
Or
the
rather,
FOIA
I
book.
guess it was going to the floor. It would have gone to the floor.
Yeah, it's a shame you have to do what you get paid to do. And they just took money and they didn't do their job. They should have to give some of that back as far as I'm concerned. I paid you to do something and you didn't do it. Not only did you not do your job, you stole our voice. And like you say, if it could have went through and it would have passed on to the Senate, now that stuff really irritates me because you've just basically thrown a whole monkey wrench in the system.
And you were on Candy's show this morning, Candy Cox's show on
Yes,
Arkansas First, and I thought, well, the show's coming out tomorrow, correct? Y'all just did kind of a pre-show.
Yep.
It was live, right? And she was talking about some of your strategies on your campaign, kind of like, or your platform. Let me rephrase it. Where you're going to, people want to know what your platform, what you're going to, what they expect out of you, and all that. So if you could touch on that.
First and foremost, the personal property tax, I think that's criminal. I should not have to rent my property from the state every year to go pay a fee every year for the privilege to go to work every day, just so I can pay more state income tax. That to me just.
Do you have anything? Do you have anything? And if you don't, that's fine. It's still early.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have anything when they start talking to replace the money?
Well, for instance, how about we get some state income tax out of those athletes that we just gave tax exempt status to? How about that one? Or get rid of the tax exempt status on these universities until you get rid of gender studies programs. Why do I got to pay you for a useless degree, or pay the teacher to teach a class you can't make money on? That's stuff right there. Or if you're going to be on welfare, you should be mandatory to be on some sort of ready to work program where they call you in the morning and say, "Hey, we got work for you."
Kind of like unemployment office. Like when you're doing unemployment and you have to go in the unemployment office and you have to look for jobs, and if they come up with a job and you say you don't want it, well, that could be a real problem.
Yeah, gone off.
Yeah.
I also think there's people out there that say all taxation is theft. I agree with you. However,
yeah, you got to.
I like having some cops. I like having the police force there. I like having the judicial system. I like, if I got to take somebody to court or something, I like having that opportunity. I'm not going to go on the faith system where we all just pitch in to do our good part. This isn't utopia and it'll never happen. So there are certain things that I'm willing to pay a small fee for, but it should be as absolute small as possible. I'm sure that there are many government jobs that we could do away with.
Well, tell us about
compromising anything.
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No.
Tell us about how I don't think you talked about this today yet, or y'all might have talked about it, but Washington State, where you live most of your, I guess all your life, pretty much, right? Or your childhood
Since I
and
was
stuff.
12 to
Yeah,
36. Yep.
yeah. So give us an example how they handle things, because they do not have personal property tax,
Absolutely. I never could have
and it's
even
not a
dreamed of
impoverished
personal
state
property
by
tax.
any means. It's
No,
wealthier than
the
Arkansas.
taxes here are more than they are there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what blew my mind. I've never paid a state income tax in my life. I've never paid a personal property tax in my life. A lot of the funding, and I know Arkansas doesn't have the abundance of state lands like Washington does. I get it. But in Washington, the state lands must be managed as a profit. And we do have levies that, your personal or your property tax go to fund schools, but you vote on them just like you would here. But the majority of it comes from the state lands, whether it be mineral rights, harvesting, grazing rights, things of that nature. They have to be managed as a profit. So there are things that we can do and look outside the box, which in my case, I can bring a fresh perspective to that. Look at, okay, how much state lands do we have? Are we allowing logging on those? Are there any mineral rights on there or minerals on there that we can harvest? There should be things like that to look at. I'm not saying that's the avenue to go on if it's not efficient, but we should definitely take a look at it. And that right there would also bring in some revenue. Just cutting some waste, that's revenue. Making sure people aren't taking or abusing the welfare or the food assistance stuff. That right there will bring in revenue. I mean, every little bit we can do helps. I would like to see a flat tax. Get rid of all this, find out what needs to be funded, make sure everybody's kind of paying
Kind of like
the
we
same.
need federally.
Preach.
Yeah.
Preach.
Yes,
I would love
absolutely.
to have a flat tax.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with no deductions, flat tax, no deductions.
Boom. There it is.
Bam.
And we could also lower the
and
sales
if you want it
tax
taken out of your check, if you don't, I mean, you pay it. But if you do, then they know exactly what to take out.
Yeah. I would rather have it come out of my check because I got to tell you, if the government says, "Hey, mail me a check," just because we need the money, it's going to be hard to do it. But if that's, you have the option. I'm all about options. If that's an option for some people and they'd rather just cut a check, here's your money, leave me alone.
I mean, I don't mind. I have no problem with people employed having to pay their taxes out of their check because there's a lot of people don't realize that they don't pay it, and then it's kind of like
that's what makes it so easy.
It's kind of like personal property tax.
Mm-hmm.
You don't pay it as you go, and then all of a sudden you're at the and you do get the bill. I have to say, you get the bill.
There's time.
Plenty of time to come up with the money, but people are going to wait till the last minute, and then they're not going to have their $600 or $700, $1,200, whatever they got to pay, and then they're screwed.
Yeah. If it wasn't for my wife, I'd be late on that every year, every time. She makes sure it's paid. The notice is up. It's paper clipped to the calendar. Because
it's a check you hate to write. The check you hate to write.
Oh, when I had to register my daughter, and they're like, "Do you have any personal property?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got stuff. What do you need to know for? What do you need to know that I got?" And she goes, "Well, to register a kid for school, you have to have personal property. You have to have it assessed." So we talk, like, it blew my mind. I couldn't even comprehend it. Like, so that every
deadline's coming up. End of this month. Deadline's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Have you assessed?
Yeah, I get so mad every time.
But
and then
a lot of it.
Tax.
Yeah, a lot of it is, and I heard you mention this earlier today. A lot of this is people, and we talked about this the last show, but we'll say it again. Maybe everybody didn't see that show. People in Arkansas, including myself, probably including Kevin, I've lived here all my life, and I never noticed it. Now, my son lives in another state. He lived here all his life, but he lives in another state now that doesn't have it, and he's thinking, "Wait a minute," he notices it, but you don't notice it, and it's big time about. Well, it's one of those always been that way situations.
And that's the mentality that I think they like, because if it's always been that way, everybody's used to it. You were born into it. You were raised into it. That's all you've ever known. And then you get somebody like me that's a refugee, comes in here and they're like, "What in the hell is going on?" I own that. I thought I had my truck paid off out of state years before I moved here. and I'm renting it every year now, that does not sit well. And in property tax too. At what point do you own something? When can you consider this mine or yours? If you pay every year, even though it's paid off, you don't own it. And there's other ways we can find the money. I assure you, there's other ways other than having to pay for something every year just to have it because the state says you owe us. There's other ways because obviously property tax is pretty much in every state. Tennessee has it gone for seniors at 65, things like that. But we definitely need to look into that. And I would love to see it completely wiped out at a minimum cap. When your property's paid off, you're done. No matter what, you own it.
Well,
Things
it's the
like
same
that.
with used car tax. When you
California
sell,
doesn't even charge a used cars tax when you
well,
buy it.
no, that was a Bill Clinton-ish bill he
Yeah.
got going back in the late 70s, and it caused him to not be reelected, which back then, okay, he ran in 78. In 1980, he lost to Frank White, who's a Republican, one of the first Republicans in a long time, but since Wyndham Rockefeller to be elected. Well, when he became, he got, Clinton lost that. He was 2 years and he lost because he made that used vehicle tax, sales tax.
Mhm.
That killed him because that affects everybody, liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian. Everybody got stung with that. So that killed him. So I think he learned a lesson there. And then Frank White lost back to him, and then he stayed governor until he became president. But that to me, that is never, because they still got it though. Guess what?
It's still here.
It's
What
still
are we
here.
doing? Why?
And we didn't have it before. I'm talking, and I call 1978 not so far back past. I know it's what, almost 50 years, but still, in the big scheme, it's not. Well, to me, it's not. But anyway,
it's a little ways back for me.
Yeah,
A little ways back.
But anyway, I've never liked it, and I think it's ridiculous. And I can understand a new car, absolutely, but a used car, I just don't. I don't think. Now there is a cap. I think if it's over 500. I don't remember what the amount of money yet.
They just changed it to where it's now it's under, if it's like 10,000 or 5,000 now. But they also added motor boats in there now. They kept adding boats in there. And then my buddy went to go buy a boat, and he was informed because he wanted to buy the demo. And he said, well, it's a used boat, so I shouldn't have to pay taxes on it, right? They said, well, as of July 1st, all used boats are taxed, even the demos.
See, that's sneaking a tax in is what that is.
Yep.
That's, they said, I didn't raise any taxes. Well, did you put that on? Yeah. Well, that's raising taxes. When you look at the bill, that's raising taxes.
The underlying word is motorboat in every section of that bill.
Yeah, because that's raising taxes for somebody. Whoever is buying, not the seller, but the buyer, that's raising taxes on him. And I don't know. It's hard to get rid of. A tax is like a toll. It's hard to get rid of.
There's nothing more permanent than temporary tax.
Yeah, and like tolls, they'll put a toll in, and they'll say, not that we don't have any tolls in Arkansas, thank God, but most states do.
Oklahoma, Kansas, there's a lot of them.
They'll put a toll in, and they'll
Texas?
say, okay, this is for the construction. This is for the construction of this road or this freeway or whatever it is, like Oklahoma or wherever. And in 10 years, it'll be done.
They did that.
Well, 30 years from then, the damn toll is still on there.
Yeah, they did that in Washington when they rebuilt the Second Narrows Bridge. It was only supposed to be tolled until it was paid off. But then once it was paid off, they changed the state constitution so they could keep tolling the bridge.
They can't do that. They get used to it and they don't want to get rid of it. So they think of an excuse to keep it, or they'll shove it over somewhere else. But anyway, that's kind of off track because Arkansas doesn't have tolls. Thank goodness. That's one good thing. We don't have tolls.
Don't give them ideas. You say that too loud, they might.
Knock on wood. Yeah. But I tell you what, it won't go over well because people aren't used to paying tolls in Arkansas. But
especially on these roads, there's only so much of the road.
The bad thing about tolls now, you go to Texas, is the last place this happened to me, in the Dallas area. They don't have a gate you go through anymore. they just have you just get a letter saying you didn't even know you're on a toll. I mean,
You can't.
and you
So
get a
I
letter
literally
saying
just went through
Yeah.
Dallas.
you owe me
I just went
$50.
through there. They got a speedway that you can get on, and they don't even have that. You have an app that you get,
It's
and then you
quicker.
just get on there. Yeah, it's quicker. But if you don't have the app, you got to go through the little toll booth over there, and then there's no one operating it.
Well,
It's
the one
literally
in
all
Texas, they
computer,
don't
and
even
you got
have a
to
toll
call
booth.
someone and say, "Hey, I don't have the app, and it's not taking my money. So what do I do?" And they're like, "Oh, well, here you do," and they'll do it over the phone. And then they just take your money, and you get to
Mm.
use the access of the speedway. That's a lot faster, so you can actually go like 70 miles an hour instead of being stuck at 65 on the side road. So they built a highway inside of a highway, and they charge you extra money for it.
The fast
Uh,
lane.
yeah. So I don't think they put actual tolls up much anymore. They just have that sensor
You
or
get a
whatever it
sticker.
is, and just
Yep.
yeah, and they just catch your plates and send you a bill.
Hmm. Yep.
And if you don't pay it, they put a warrant out for you.
Yeah. You.
But
Oh, I know in Washington
don't
they'll
go back
take
to
your
that state.
license.
Don't go
They'll
back to that
suspend
state.
your license.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
they'll even do it from another. I don't know how that works. I've always paid them. I'm not gonna try them, but
Yeah, they just
But
charge you. They'll get you on them small charges.
yeah. What else we got on your? What else you want to talk about on your? Tell us some more details about your up and coming campaign and what your strategies are
The
and
strategy, I think, is like I know RJ's got he's well established in the count
sure,
or in the district, so
yes,
he's got his name
very
out
well
there.
known. Yeah.
Mine's going to be on handshakes and hugs and a lot of shoe leather.
Knocking on
It's gonna
doors,
be door knocking, being anywhere I can, holding the sign.
public speaking and stuff. Yeah.
And I have a thing on my website says request Aaron, just come speak anywhere. And I'm anywhere if you have an event, I would love to come to it. Love to speak there. At least come shake hands and tell you more about me, let you get to know me. And I think that's what it's going to be. Let people.
So there'll be plenty of stuff coming up.
I'm authentic. I'm not a politician. I want to stress that I am not a politician in any way. I only want to do 3 terms and back to my regular scheduled life. I've got a good life, and I really am not looking forward to, being at the Capitol forever. I wasn't looking at.
Here you go. Here's your
Yeah, there you go. I
Here's
was
your
wondering
his
what happened
website
to the
right here,
screen.
y'all. It is
What's that?
here's your website right here. It's aaronforarkansas.com. It's actually in the Facebook link down there.
Yep.
There we go.
And it's pretty much, I'm doing this not just for me, my kids, your kids, grandkids, for everybody. I'm not taking a dime. I want to donate.
Yeah,
it.
I wanted you to go into that a little bit about your different twist to this office.
A lot of it is because I do not want to benefit one bit from this position. I don't want anybody to ever be able to say, well, he only did it for this or money or power.
Right.
I don't want any of that. It's actually going to cost me. But I believe that that's what a public servant's supposed to be, right? Serve the public. It's not about how much money can I cram in my pockets and then bail. That's not it. And I want people to understand that. This is about giving back, 100% public service.
Yeah, I took off with mine with my own money at first, and I got donations, but I didn't get enough to run the whole thing, or not to be successful. Of course, I was running against 3 other people. One incumbent who had been in 20 years, and then 2 other people. So I didn't have room to sit around. I mean, I'd have lost my rear end.
I mean,
it was hard enough me fighting the way I was, but like you said, the knocking on doors is huge, and just listening to people, and just being truthful with them, and just telling them how you feel. And I never lied about what I felt or I believed or was going to do. I didn't like say what they wanted to hear. A lot of politicians will they're talking to somebody and they'll go, yeah, I agree, whether they do or not. Well, I didn't do that. I would tell them, I say, well, I don't know if you believe in this, but this is what I believe.
And I've been
also another thing I put out is a good thing for, I think, politicians are to do, not just to say, is that, okay, we all have our own opinions. I have my own opinion. You got your own opinion. Kevin does, of what you want done, or how you want it done. But you're dealing with and I've learned a lot more about this since I've been in office, because I'll be honest, when you get in office, you learn a lot of things you didn't know, and it doesn't always work the way you want it to work. It doesn't always work at the speed you want, and you do have to do a little bit of bartering with it. I mean, if you just piss everybody off and just totally alienate everybody in a rude way, you're not going to get anything done. But now sometimes you're not going to get anything done anyway. It depends on what you're doing. But my theory was this: if the people, like, I get texts when something's coming up, people say, "Vote for that, are you? You're not going, or you are going, whatever they feel." Whether I agree with them or not, if that's what the majority of people want, I feel like I need to vote that way. And I'm pretty well, I'm in a real rural area, and thankfully, most people in my area think the way I do. But if you're in a controversial area, it's tough. It's tough.
And that's just me personally. I'm not there to tell everybody what they're going to get.
Sure.
You tell me how I'm supposed to vote.
Yeah.
I'm telling you my platform, where I stand, what I believe. And if you send me there because of that, I'm going to use my best judgment until you tell me otherwise. And like you say, the majority, if I get a majority of phone calls for this and this, I'm a representative. That's my whole job, is to represent people. So I have to represent who put me there.
Sure.
Makes sense. So if
your
they
district,
tell me,
it's mainly your district of 81, whatever that covers. And I know it's a lot of Bryant. And then, that's it's the district first, the state second. I mean, the rest of the state, you want to look out for what's happening in the rest of the state. And then, it goes on down the national level and all that. But,
but if it's not going to directly impact my district, I'm looking out for the state. Now, if it's there for my district and it's something like that, but we got to have a voice there. And a lot of them are state things, like the petition bills, the hammer bills, or whatever you want to call them. And then there's those, the welfare district, or not the corporate welfare districts, whatever you want to call them. There's those kind of bills. Well, those are going to, my district sending me there to have a voice in what they want. And I'm adamantly against them. So hopefully when I speak up and I vote no on that stuff, I'm making them proud. I'm not going to just buckle because somebody said, "Hey, we really need you to vote this way. And if you want to be on the in crowd, this is what we expect."
Or lobbyists,
absolutely not.
Donors, big donors, which, if you have any big donors, and, there's people, I'll be honest, there's people I wouldn't take money from because I know where they're going.
Yeah.
And I know some guys, some politicians, some people, not guys, girls, that are politicians will take money from anybody and do anything they want to do. Whoever's got the biggest tab. And if any of them say that's not true, they're lying, because there are people like that. Now, they're not all like that. And some, I'll be honest, some get accused of being like that, and they're not. And I found that you'd be surprised how all these representatives, whatever they are, senators, lots of times when they vote, I have found, and going to the legislation session this year, and I don't mean to dog them, but some of them don't know what the heck, haven't looked at it, haven't followed it, don't know what it's about, and just vote the way. And they kind of, and I know that's not an excuse, but they vote in the dark.
And I look at it,
and that's their fault for not brushing up on, because you're say you're a representative, say you're a state representative, they're going to put you on committee A, committee B, committee C, and whether you're interested in that or not, that might not be where your passion is, but I don't think they give, from what I've known, the ones, they don't give you an option of what your passion is. They just put you where they want to put you at first.
Right.
And that's where you need to concentrate. That's what you got to concentrate.
Read every bill that comes into your committee. And if it makes it out of committee, then you need to read all the other bills you're going to be voting on. But you should read everything. And I know that's what, there's so many bills. What was it, like 2,000 they brought? Something like that?
I mean, you see them go through their paperwork, and I'm not familiar with that. But you're fixing to vote on it, bud. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, I lay in bed and I have a stack of bills next to my bed, and I try to go through them. And I mean, don't get me wrong. It's some
it's
of it's
drudgery. It's drudgery. Yeah.
it's boring and it puts me to sleep. But I can at least say I have an educated guess on what it, and there's so many.
They're made
Arkansas
to not
Post News,
understand.
Conduit News, all these other ones are already on top of it, and you can get a synopsis and then go, okay, reread this section and this section. But there's so many, outlets out there that give you a direction. If you're a conservative, you're going to, oh, well, okay, I should really focus on this. But
and they like to tell you, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't vote that way on that. What do you mean you can't vote that way?
No.
Well, it's not going to work if you vote that way. It's not going to work out. It's not going to work. Well, I mean, just because they say that doesn't mean it's true. Sure, they're going to tell you that it's not going to work because they don't want it.
Yeah, and that's what in my text strand with RJ or my Facebook thing, he said, well, 20 bills came in the committee and they never made it out. So basically, why should I try? How about 21, 22, maybe 23? Keep going. I mean,
or look at the way they were presented, or
just maybe notify the public, like, hey, we're trying to put this through. We'd really like some input.
Well, I'll be
let
honest.
The phone calls flood.
You can put you could put forth. Let's use personal property tax, which is going to be a tough nut to crack. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to be a tough nut to crack, but it can be done. But it's how it's presented. If people, I don't know what these people have done. If they just say they want to get rid of personal property tax,
you got to have a solution.
Right. If you don't,
you got to have the
wear you out. They're going to wear you out. They're going to tear you up.
Because you can see where all the tax dollars are going, where they're coming in from, and with that, you can start going, all right, well, this is redundant. We can get rid of that, and what about cutting the bloat out of this and that? And you can already have a solution. Because what was it? Teddy Roosevelt, presenting a problem without a solution is just whining. So you have to have the solution when you're presenting the problem, and I'm all about that. So
and we don't know that that's always happened on these.
And that may be true.
I see bills all the time that have no explanation. It's just like, this is what I want to do. Well, why do you want to do it? Well, because it's not popular with the people. That ain't going to be. That's not going to necessarily get it.
Yeah. But I can tell you, I made a post that said, I said it earlier, personal property tax is the tax you pay every year before you pay a fee every year for the privilege of driving back and forth to work to pay more state income tax. That has almost 200 different shares on it, and there's almost 2,000 different interactions. That one post
I bet people don't like it. Yeah.
That one post alone has made it so I can't keep up with comments. I try to reply to everybody, but I can assure you that would go over if the public got involved. That's the kicker. If they got involved, they made the phone calls and they were aware of what was in committee. That is the problem. Is a lot. Who goes to ArcLeg for a hobby all the time to see what bill's there? A lot of people don't even. I've asked my mom, "Who's your representative?" Same thing. They don't know.
I find that out when you go door to door. They don't know.
That's why we started media stations like Arkansas First and with Miss Candy and her show. We want to actually get that information out there because people aren't paying attention. They don't know what's going on. Just like you said, they don't even know their rep. I never knew my rep until I actually went and talked at the Saline County committee. So that's why we need to get more people onto shows like this and stuff like that.
It's not comfortable. Talking at the Capitol, it's intimidating.
No. Right. Politics is like a book.
Yeah.
To people. A book. It's like
an actual.
Are you reading the book?
Yeah.
Are you reading the book?
It's like a paperback book.
Looking at the cover and looking at the introduction, and then saying you know all about the book.
Right.
It's kind of like that, and people are too. I hate to say this, they're gonna get mad at me, but a lot of people are too lazy or don't want to mess with it, or not interested enough to really look in depth to it, and they just kind of look at the surface, or they look at what they'll call their rep or their JP or whatever. Hey, tell me about this, and you can probably put it however you want, and they'll probably believe that. I mean, whether it's a lie or truth. But I'll tell you what I do. I welcome people to contact me. I've been contacted
100%.
And I thought that would be I didn't know how that was going to work. Me never being a politician.
I enjoyed that the most.
Yes. And you know how many politicians do not like it? a lot of them don't want to be bothered with
Mhm.
people. And I'm not saying all of them. Again, before anybody goes, he says it, but not everybody. And I'm not naming names, but there are some that
Mhm.
just want to be there. And
Julie Mayberry. Sorry.
She never got back to me once, and I blew her up when I first got here.
When I first started getting into politics with
I
COVID
don't
and
know
all that,
about
I was
her,
ringing
but
her phone a lot. She never answered me at all.
Facebook, text,
yeah,
phone calls,
that's not a
never
good
got back
thing.
to me.
But and I know they get a lot of them. They get a lot more than I do. But I tell you what, when I get one, the ones I've had so far in this term, I'm in the middle of one. I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm in the middle of running one down of what the problem is and get it solved if possible. And all people want to do is be recognized. They want to be answered. They want to be if you tell them you're going to follow up and you're going to call them, by God, do it.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know how many times I'll say, well, can you let me know? Yeah, sure, yeah. Never hear another word. Well, that is a bad taste in your mouth.
It is.
Because it makes
right
you
there
look
will
like
sour
makes
you.
you feel like you're not important. What you got to say is not important.
Well, and you have to look at it as like, who do you work for? You work for me. And if I'm your boss, I expect my employees to take the phone call, to listen to what I have to say. If you're a registered voter, yeah, you're the boss. And
Well, if you don't want to deal with all that stuff, if someone doesn't want to deal with all that stuff, if somebody don't want to get out and do that, they don't need to run. It's simple. It's just a real simple formula. If you don't want to do the job, don't do it. Don't half-ass do it.
They just like to be popular, and I think
it's like people in regular jobs. We're all have been employed or are employed, and you see people get a job, and they know nothing but bitch because they got to work the whole time. Well, you need to quit. Go do something else, man.
Mm-hmm.
You chose this.
Yeah, you did,
and you're getting paid.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, I love to get up and go to work. I love when my alarm goes off at 4 o'clock."
Sure,
that's
not the point. But you're doing it.
I do my
do
time.
The best job you can when you get there.
Absolutely,
it's called work ethic.
It is, and I don't know if you can read this right here. It says
it's a dying thing.
You have $1 million dreams with a minimum wage work ethic. Right here, that's what that says. You've got to put in the work. You've got to be driven, and you'd be amazed at what you can accomplish.
It's a dying thing too. Unfortunately, it is a dying breed.
And that's sad. It really is.
But it's our own fault. It could come back, but right now, there's kind of I feel like there's a generation, not all, but a good percentage that, usually the good ones are really good, but the bad ones are really bad.
We have to promote work again. And that's another thing Candy and I were talking about a little bit. We have to promote work, not dependency. There's a pride that you get when you've done a job, when you get that paycheck and you're able to provide and you have a roof and you're earning things. Not everything is going to be great right up front. But when you start working and you start getting that paycheck and you move up and you're putting in the grind, it builds your self-esteem. You've got a little bit of pride in yourself. And I don't care what job you have. If you're getting up and you're going to work, I don't care if it's cleaning toilets. I've cleaned toilets before. I had to clean them every Tuesday and Thursday, at work.
I still do. I don't get paid for it.
Yeah. So you got to put in the work. We have to bring back pride in work. Get people off the government dole and show them a job, especially with all the work from home jobs and the technology that people can, make adaptations at work.
Yeah, I have no problem with people getting assistance when they really need it.
That 100%, absolutely. If you need a helping
and really
hand, that's one thing.
On a bad time, but it shouldn't be a everlasting thing.
No.
And it's kind of like I'm gonna hit one here that's probably gonna make people mad. But it's like going to these stores and people get it. These carts, the scooters. I have nothing against those scooters. I all for people who need them to get in them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna tell you what. I would say half the people that get in them don't need to be in them.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of walking might do some of them.
Am I getting controversial there?
Yeah. No. Hey, that's okay. I agree with you. I've seen it in abusing.
Hey, I've looked at stats. Arkansas is one of the worst for obesity, so you're not wrong.
Listen, I'm sorry. Obesity is not a reason to get one. But anyway, I just said that, and I'm a big guy, and
Well, that's why I said you're not wrong.
And then the same with the parking spots, the handicapped parking places. It's too easy to get attacked. I'm not saying people don't need them. Don't get me wrong, everybody. I'm not saying that. There's many people that need them, But I guarantee you can you go to a restaurant and sit at a little bench outside and wait for a table, and you can watch people getting in and out of them. And I'm gonna tell you what, half of them don't need them.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Things are definitely getting abused for sure. And, I don't know who hands those out. If it's like those doctors and people going and getting medical marijuana stuff, then that needs to be way more strict, I think. You can get it for package.
Yeah, I've heard that ain't very hard either.
Yeah, that ain't right. But I'm glad here that it's not legal. I voted that down because that is the last thing I want.
It may eventually be all over, but it'll be a while here probably. It's not,
I hope it never happens because
of course, I never thought the medical would even happen. I didn't think the medical would happen.
I'm not for it at all. Completely against it.
But tell me a little bit. Tell us the audience a little bit about your what am I trying to say? Strategy on the money, on the salary. I mean, I know that you've talked about they can contribute to or you're going to contribute to charities. Tell us a little bit about your thinking on that.
I personally am not a person that believes welfare should be handed out by the states. I believe it should have been left up to the churches. I think Roosevelt screwed all that up because he was a socialist. But anyway, I think it should have been left up to the churches. The government can do their thing, but when it came to helping people, it should have been to the churches. I like to give to charity. It just makes me feel good. It's not something I sit here and I tell everybody about, hey, I gave to charity. That's has nothing to do with that at all. But it's about community. It's about giving back. Again, public servant. And a lot of that is, I'm going to keep my job. I don't need the money. Would it be wonderful? Absolutely. But it's not something I have to have. So why not do some good with some money that, is coming from the taxpayer? I don't know if I'd be allowed to refuse a salary, but I'd rather just give it to charities that are doing good for people. Food banks. I have one that called the Harvest House that I love to give to because I believe in their message strongly. Yeah. So anything that can help somebody get out of a rut, or like I say, food bank, the Harvest House takes people that have been impacted by drugs in some kind of way or been in trouble with the law. They have to go to church twice a week and they have to get a job. Take my money. Absolutely. Take my money. Adoption, another one. I'm all about adoption. Why shouldn't we help somebody save a baby, give to an adoption, help a mother that was scared or something of that effect that just took a baby, help them out, give to them. If you need food and it's a food bank, give it to them. They can help. I don't want to give, the government to be the sole person, the dependency, I guess is where I'm going with it. So that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, we used to go to church where they had, like Christmas time, they have the angel tree, you pick an angel and they have the kid, what they want and all that. And we always did that. And I think that's good stuff. I think it's good stuff.
So that's Thanksgiving, what I want to do.
Giving a family that's out, maybe they're bad, they're on their
hard times happen. They happen.
Thanksgiving, send them a dinner. There's nothing wrong with that. It's great.
No.
That's what we're supposed to do.
My grandpa never missed an opportunity to tell me the Lord loves a cheerful giver, and that's what I intend to do. I just want to help people. I'm not doing this for any other reason other than to just give back.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with the old philosophy and the old. You see it. Say you're watching those old, and it really happened in real life. Because I know my grandparents. I had my grandfather born in 1882, and they would come out. Like somebody needs a place to stay or something for a short time or something. But what they used to do then was when they came and did things like that, if they're grown folks, they would cut their wood for them, or they would do chores. They'd mow their grass for them. They would buy the groceries or something, or help out with the groceries. And nowadays, if you and it's worse. Probably happens worse sometimes with families and stuff. But when they come in and if you ask them to do, they act like the other world. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not an insult to help out when
Yeah.
someone's giving you something, and it is giving you something, and not try to milk it forever. I mean, that's just the way.
Yeah.
And it's back to it goes along with kind of that work ethic thinking of pride. I mean, have some pride in yourself to where, hey, I'll do some chores for you, or even go around and mowing somebody's grass for food, if not money.
It just kind of reminds me of that scene in Lonesome Dove, if anybody remembers, where he goes,
Yeah,
you don't mind doing a little well digging to pay for your breakfast, do you?
exactly. That's exactly what I'm referring to, something
Yeah.
like that. Now that's an insult.
Yeah.
My God, you
How
gonna make me do
dare
what?
you ask me to do that? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
how
agree.
dare you ask me to do that?
Yeah.
Well, how dare you ask me to help you then?
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's just a lot of it is just because it's something I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking any of the other representatives
No, I
to
understand.
keep
Yeah,
the money. It's just
I
I'm going to get up and go to work every day, either before session, and then if there's time after, I'm going to go finish my job. I'm going to be working Saturdays. I'm going to be working harder because
think
of
it's a
it.
noble
It's
thing to
so much
do.
easier for me to just throw money at a candidate and go, "Hey, go fix the problem." The problem is they're just taking my money and doing whatever they want with it. So I'd rather just step in, throw my name in the hat, take the slings and arrows, do my absolute best, shake as many hands as I can, knock on as many doors as I can, let people meet me, see my platform. Absolutely pro Second Amendment, abortion is murder, that kind of stuff. I want to fight to end the property tax. I want to either limit, cap, or abolish the property tax at a minimum at 65. Get rid of it. You've earned it. It's your time. Go enjoy it. There's things like that. That it's all right there, and it'd be a lot easier for me to sit down and wait for somebody to do that. But I don't see anybody doing that. So that's where I said, okay, somebody's got to do something. They're not doing it. Let me see if I can do it.
I think you're on the right track, and I think you're. I think that's a good thing you're doing. I can't. I don't do it. I could. I don't. But I think it's a good thing. But
I'm trying to lead by example. I'm not going to benefit
Sure.
one bit from this position unless everybody benefits with me. We're doing this together. We're going to fight
Right.
together. We're going to win together. That's the bottom line.
hats off to you on that. It is. I mean, I think and that's your business how you want to do that. It shouldn't anybody
nobody
put
asked
you
me to do
down
it.
or because you're going to hear all kinds of when you start running, you're going he's just trying to blah 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 blah. So just that's gonna just out there.
And if it's not, it doesn't matter if I was going to donate
it don't
or
matter.
not.
Yeah.
I'm still going to get. Oh, he's just doing it for recognition. Oh, he just wants to have the power. Oh, he's going to sell out to donate. No, absolutely not. I'm going to put 3 terms in, and then I'm getting back to my life. That's what I want to do. I want to fight, and then hopefully by my 3rd term, there's another up and comer that's just a grenade like me that wants to come in there, do the right thing, give back, and we can bring that person in, whoever that may be, to take my position, and then I can get back to my wonderful life. That's what I want.
Well, we're going to be winding down here, and that's been good having you. And I want everybody to check out Arkansas First News and Saline Hardliners, and follow Aaron on his journey to the state
please go check out the
seat.
Facebook page. Let's start spreading that.
Yeah, you're gonna put it up again, I think.
Yeah, here's Arkansas First, the YouTube page. We got the YouTube page. We've got the actual. Oh no, I can't touch it. There we go. There. We got the actual news site we have here. We got plenty of artists for y'all to go look at and read from. We got a Rumble page out there y'all can go look at. And then we'll go back to Aaron's site again. Oh no, I got rid of Aaron's site.
That's Aaron. That's me.
That was me. I didn't
Where'd you go?
Me on the camera.
All right, Ken, where'd you go?
We're back.
Hey, and also, we're fixing to get into. We're just starting out with the season, but it seems like it gets earlier and earlier every 2 years of the political season. But we're going to try to. If anybody out there is running for office, we're open to let you say your piece on here. I'm not going to. You know what I mean? I think that's fair to let everybody, whoever wants to say their piece. So we're going to maybe get some other people on there besides myself. I'm running myself for re-election, but it's automatic.
Yeah.
I promote myself every time I'm on here. So yeah, if you're in District 4, you're going to vote for me. Trying to do you a good job. So check out the Arkansas First News, and Candy's got a Arkansas First News report, and the other one is I'm going blank.
Facts Matter with Jimmy Cavan.
Yeah, facts. Yeah.
Or Facts Not Fiction. I'm sorry, Jimmy.
Right. So, and Aaron, we'll probably have you on again later on in the campaign.
No, I appreciate it. Anytime.
You know,
absolutely anytime.
Yeah, you're welcome back anytime, boss.
I appreciate it.
It'll get going as we go. It's going to get more and more, you know.
And I owe you a lot because you, on our little text, when I first got a hold of you, I was a little passionate. And I don't know if it came across that way or not, but you still took a chance on having me on here. And I'm very grateful for that. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. We appreciate you coming on.
Yep.
So this is another Saline County Hardliners is out.